I want to formally welcome everyone to the 2025 edition of Pan Ohio 101. Really great chance for new writers and returning writers alike to learn all of the details and get everything you need to know to have a safe, fun, and meaningful, successful Pan Ohio Hope Ride. I'm super excited to see so many of you here tonight. We will also be recording this so that we can send this out to anyone that couldn't make it tonight so they can watch it later. And just make sure that everyone feels well prepared and well equipped to have an amazing event in 30 days. So we are just exactly 1 month out from the start line of the Pan Ohio Hope Ride, and we can't wait. So I'm just going to start with a couple of quick introductions. My name is Stacy McGrath. This is my husband, Darrell McGrath. We are your volunteer event chairs of the Pan Ohio Hope Ride. And I just mentioned I started Pan Ohio in 2008, so I've been around this thing for a hot minute. I honestly thought it was going to be a one-time challenge to myself, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And obviously I fell in love with it because here we are years and years later still doing this. I'll let Darrell say a couple words.
Yeah, I started 10 years later and here we are.
I think the first thing I told Darrell when we met and we were doing it, that it was probably going to be my last year because I was going to be 10 and done. So, I was going to do it one time and then I was going to do it 10 times. And, now here we are. So we love this event as both volunteers and as writers and are just excited to welcome you all. So we're going to have a panel discussion today. We're going to be asking questions of our amazing American Cancer Society staff partners. So I just want to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves here, and we'll just go in order of this picture. Alyssa, if you want to kick off with a quick intro.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alyssa. I have been with Pan Ohio. This is my 7th season. I've been with the American Cancer Society for 13 years. I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. And I look like I'm wearing sunglasses today because my kids live in the sun. So I was at baseball yesterday and got some great tan lines. So yeah, I'm super excited to have you all. Welcome to the Pan Ohio Hope Ride family. I'm excited that you're here.
Over to Bob.
Hey, I'm Bob Duncan. I've been with American Cancer Society about 2.5 years. This is my 3rd Pan Ohio. I have pretty extensive background in endurance sports, and just super happy to be behind the scenes, like loading and tugging and making sure you guys have the best time ever.
And last but certainly not least, Leigh-Anne.
I'm Leigh-Anne Dennison. I am a tried and true Pan Ohioan. I started by riding. I went into volunteering, and then I got a job here. And I love the event. I hate cancer, and so I just keep chugging away to fight it.
Yeah, so love it. So those of you that don't know, like Pan Ohio, like most American Cancer Society events, it's this incredible partnership. We have an amazing volunteer committee that puts this together in connection with these terrific partners. So we are excited to bring you all the knowledge you need tonight. Couple quick housekeeping notes before we get into the panel discussion here. We want this call to be interactive, right? We don't want you to just sit there and listen to us, but we would love it if you keep your microphones muted during the call when you're not speaking. The chat, if you have not found the chat box, up in your top toolbar, there's a little chat bubble that says chat. We love it if you participate there. If you can see Darrell just said hello in the chat. If you have any questions as we're going through things, it's great if you can drop your questions at that moment in the chat so we can pick them up at a good time or let you know, yeah, we'll get to that later. We also will have time at the end for open discussion and questions. And at that time, you guys can come off mute and we can chat more openly. But we have a lot of material to blow through. We're trying to keep this a little bit shorter than last year's, which went nearly 2 hours. So we're trying to keep it a little tighter. So we'll plow through a ton of material, but we will certainly have time for questions. And we are here as long as anyone wants to stay on this call and ask us questions later. Even if we stop the official recording, we'll hang out. And obviously, if you have questions later, you can always reach the staff partners at panohio.info@cancer.org with any follow-up questions. Hopefully everyone saw the writer guide that was emailed out yesterday. If you have not had a chance to read that all yet, that is okay. We're going to be going through most of that information, so this should supplement that. But if you have any questions anytime in the next 30 days, please reach out to one of the 5 of us. We'll be happy to help. And yeah, if you're a returning writer, feel free to chime in the chat with your own experience and tips too. We learn from each other, and there's not an event like this that goes by that some writer doesn't throw something in the chat that I'm like, well, that's a good idea I never thought of, because everyone has their tips and tricks. So again, that's our housekeeping for the day, and we're ready to jump in. I am going to stop sharing at this time so that the screen can just be all of our faces and you can see who's talking. We will have some visuals at the end to show you what our route marking looks like and share our phone numbers and stuff again. But in the meantime, I just want you to see the faces of these awesome panelists sharing information. So with that, we are going to kind of follow that flow of the guidebook, which is largely what do I do before the event, what happens during the event, and then some other general questions along the way. So let's just kind of kick things off with, here we are, 30 days out from the event. Alyssa, what should I be doing here 30 days out from the events? You're muted.
Man, always happens. Well, if you haven't done it already, the lodging and transportation reservation form was due yesterday. I did reach out to some of you personally today, and lots of people were incredible and jumped right on it and got their survey done. So there's not too many outstanding. So thank you everyone for getting those in. Just a reminder, we are closing registration this year on June 30th. So that gives you 6 days to finish your recruiting. If you have that friend that's said that they want to register, now's the time to get them signed up. Obviously, you know, we will still accept their lodging registration if they sign up before the 30th. But if you're already registered, we'd like for you to get that in if you haven't already. So yeah, and obviously you being here at this meeting is the next right step, right? Learning everything that you need to know about what's going to happen 30 days from now. And in addition to this call, as was already mentioned, the Rider Guidebook did go out yesterday. Big shout out to Leigh-Anne and Stacy and the rest of the committee as well for putting that together and all the hard work that goes into it. So please make sure you take some time to read it. That's why we put it together for you. So, you know, and let us know if you have any questions, and it's going to be kind of like your go-to, but don't worry. And we'll touch on this as well. You will be given this information again and again and again as we go. So while we have the guidebook, you're also going to be getting emails and texts and all the other things.
Yes. So, and actually Leigh-Anne can share some more details about some of those communication things real quick too. Like, obviously you're in the grace period now, you're late if you didn't fill out that form, but if anything changes, sometimes people fill out the form and then they realize, oh, something's coming up and you need to change where you're picking up your packet or where you want to grab the bus, or you forgot to tell us that you're a vegetarian. If you have any changes to what you already submitted on that form, please email. And again, we'll get that. Can someone drop that email address in the chat while we're talking about it? panohio.info@cancer.org. So Leigh-Anne, what other kind of communications should people be watching for the next few weeks?
Okay, so as soon as you have registered, you should start getting emails from us directly from the Panohio inbox. It's panohio.info@cancer.org. One thing that we do to try and reduce overflow of your mailbox is we do some email digests. So those will be covering a multitude of subjects. One just went out today before this call, highlighting some of the things that are happening, including this call, but also some team fundraisers, the bib contest, things like that. We cross-post just about everything on social media. That's Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and when we have videos, YouTube. We also have a blog that's panohiohoperide.wordpress.org, and that's all linked from our homepage on the website, which is pohr.org. So you can also check there for announcements and quick links and things like that. As Stacy said, we sent out the rider guide yesterday. It is also on the website, and we'll be linking to it multiple times, sharing it on social media, things like that. The final thing is, as we get close to the ride, things get there become a lot of important communications that you have to know about. So the week of the ride, you'll probably start getting things from an app called Slip Text. That's our SMS outbound message program, and you're automatically, as a registered rider, you will automatically be opted into that list. You can unsubscribe, but we don't recommend it. If you can tolerate getting 1 or 2 text messages a day, we use it for things like important updates about the route, if there are any changes, if there's any emergencies, If something happens with a dorm or the Wi-Fi changes or something like that, we will try and alert you through the text. If you have family or friends who want to follow along what's happening on Pan Ohio, they can also subscribe, and the instructions for that are in the rider guide, as we mentioned. You're on mute.
Now I'm the one on mute. Question in the chat on the form about the hotel options. So the hotel options, if you filled out the form and selected a single dorm option, but you preferred a hotel, there's actually links. So I'll put the link to the website. You want to let us know that you're doing the hotel, but you do need to make your hotel arrangements yourself. So I'm going to drop, that's the wrong link. Actually, Leigh-Anne, can you find that? Never mind. I got it. This is the logistics page on our website. That's not the form to fill out, but the page that has sort of all the information. And if you scroll down on that to under the hotel locations and information, where is the Helms-Briscoe link? Sorry. Oh, never mind. You have to do each of these separately. So a little bit down the page under hotel information, there's like the Drury Inn and Suites Beechwood, the Fairfield Inn and Suites Columbus Polaris, the Comfort Suites Worcester, and the Holiday Inn Fairborn Dayton. If you click on each of those links, that takes you to the page where you can make the direct reservations for the hotel. So we don't make the hotel reservations for you. We just need to know that you are choosing the hotel option. And then you can go, yeah, thank you. There's the links to all the hotels separately. Does that clear that up, Marty? You know, like we can definitely get you a single hotel or a single dorm too, for sure. This year.
Yes, that helps clarify. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So Stacy and Darrell, are there some other different sites and apps that we use for communication during the ride as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we get to the ride, we won't use this too much ahead of time, but there's a couple other tools that we will use for communication and wayfinding during the ride. And one of them is panohio.info. If you go look at that now, you're going to see a lot of information from last year. We've not yet updated that, but by the time we get to the ride, it will be updated. And we also use an app called What 3 Words for wayfinding. It's just a different way of navigating. We will give you addresses to all these places, but for a lot of people, it is easier to use an app that navigates you to a specific location instead of an address. So there's some information on panohio.info about What 3 Words and how to use it, but it's basically a system where the world is split up into 10 by 10 squares, and each one has a unique combination of 3 words. So if I tell you bike, bear, bird, you're gonna be like, oh, I know, like to a 10 by 10 square on the world where that is. I'm kind of curious where that one is now. Just made that up. So we will provide all of our location information, like you're on campus and it's like, where's bike storage? Where's this? Where's that? Well, all of that stuff is at Wright State in their student union building, but that doesn't help because it's a giant sprawling building. So if I can tell you that bike storage is in this location and dinner's in this location and the party's in this location, it helps find it. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, What 3 Words is pretty helpful. And then panohio.info will have all of those things. So we will send out more information about those when those are ready to launch with our What 3 Words locations. So watch for that as another tool. The other use that we do for What 3 Words is if you need a SAG, it is very helpful if you have that app and you can pull it up and tell the SAG, I am at whatever 3 words you're at. And that helps them pinpoint your location, especially if you're like me and you're on some random road and you're looking around and all you see is cornfields and you try to call a SAG and you're like, I have no idea where I am, honestly. You can try to find it, but there are some places where cell service isn't the best to get the maps updated, but you can usually still get your What 3 Words because it's through GPS. If you're on a trail, on a road, it helps us find you and it can help you find your way. So we recommend you check it out. With that, I want to talk about some other things. Oh yeah, great question in the chat, whether or not family members can track ride location and progress. We don't have a tracking app. There are other apps. A lot of our riders use things like Life 360 to make groups with their family, but Leigh-Anne totally just nailed it in the chat there. They do tend to use a lot of battery. So if you're going to use an app like that and running constantly, we recommend you bring a backup battery charger for that. But no, we don't do tracking chips. I know some events do tracking chips in their bibs so people can see progress. We don't time, we don't track.
Yeah. So those actually only approximate your location anyway. So
yeah,
we don't do that.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions about pre-event communication or how to find the information you need? Okay. All right, so let's talk about some other preparation we should be doing in this last month. Bob, what about training? If people have never ridden a 4-day, 328+ mile bike ride, what should they be doing now to prepare, especially for some of our newer, more casual cyclists?
I think I'll start with, if you can do one day and properly fuel and hydrate, all 4 days are not a problem. I like to think of this like an ultra run or an ultra ride, where you're training, you should include some long rides before the end of the month. And by long rides, I'd like to see you do at least one ride that's 70 to 80 miles that'll, you know, mimic a real day of Pan Ohio. Most of the training should be done by now. So if it's not, you don't need to stress. You just need to make sure that you take it at your own pace. You eat and drink as often as you think you should, and probably twice as much. And then the other thing that I don't think people do on this ride well, from a little bit of experience, is sleep. Sleep a lot. Sleep will help you. So I think physically, all the hay's in the barn right now. So give yourself a couple test runs of some long rides with the nutrition and hydration that you want to play, and get some sleep. And if you want to do a back-to-back 70, 80, it'd be this weekend or next weekend. And then the rest of us show up and be ready.
Yeah, Bob's right. I totally agree with, if you can do one day, you can do 4 days. I mean, I think the pain points might be there a little bit more, but those are a little bit mind over matter sometimes on like saddle pain if you're not used to multiple days. We do have a training plan. Obviously, we're late in that. It's a 24-week training plan, but it can give you some idea of where you maybe should expect to be at a month out. I'll be honest, there were some years that this was when I started my training. So I know like you should be well into it by now, but if you're not, like you still do have some time. Keep in mind that it is a ride, not a race. It is a tour. So you don't need to be racing. You just need to find that pace that you can maintain all day. And then like Bob said, learn how to fuel and hydrate yourself for it. Anything you'd add to that?
No, I would just say if you're generally well conditioned year round, you shouldn't have a problem with this. If you're just getting on your bike for the first time since last Pan Ohio, take advantage of this time we have to get some rides in.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think a lot of people have the interesting experience of feeling better each day. It's kind of counterintuitive, but sometimes you actually get stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Adrian has a great question in here about riders using a hybrid bike and averaging 11 to 12 miles an hour. I can tell you that was me. When I said I had just started riding and got my bike 8 weeks before Pan Ohio, it was a hybrid bike, and I was probably riding about 10 to 12 miles an hour, and that's okay, right? We will talk later about the daily details about time constraints. On Saturday and Sunday, we will have some time cutoffs, but on Thursday and Friday, you have all day. So, you know, as long as you can keep out there and keep moving, you'll be okay. So yeah, I think you will have people riding your pace. You won't be the only one riding in the 10 to 12 mile per range. So there will be people, if you ride 20 miles an hour, there will be people riding your pace, and everything in between. We really do have a little bit of everything there. So yeah, obviously sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Stacy, this is Steve. So, yeah, last year was my first time riding, and I also had a hybrid, and I just thought of it like this, was chunking it out in, hour increments. That, the ride for me started at 6:30 or 7. I had all day. And I think the one thing that I didn't understand until I was actually at the event was that my training rides were mostly alone. So I was riding at my pace. And then when I was following others in groups, I was typically riding faster. So the ride seems to go faster as you gain the momentum. And then obviously you're running on adrenaline as well, being at the event. So yeah, I came last year pretty much unprepared, and I
still made it.
I got stronger as the days came through.
And keep in mind, available as well. So if for some reason you feel like you are done for the day, we do have SAG support available if you need to be done for the day, or if you just want to skip a section. And we'll talk about that more when we get to it. But just real quick, a couple other questions in the chat on this. All day, define all day. I mean, like however long it takes you to get there. Obviously if you're riding 10 miles an hour, it's going to take you twice as long to cover the miles as it takes someone riding 20 miles an hour. So if you're, averaging 10 to 12 miles an hour, you might be riding for 8-9 hours a day. If you're faster, obviously it cuts your saddle time. So just, whatever that is that you can maintain for the daily mileage. And to the other question too about timing of leaving in the morning. We'll actually, I'm going to put a pin in a couple of those as we get into our daily talks and coming back around to chatting about route later. I think some of these will be covered. I will make sure to circle back on anything that we don't catch by the end of this. But I think with that, I think the other thing to do before the event that I want to send back to Bob, some of you mentioned you just maybe got your bike out of that long lost dusty corner of your garage and your shifters aren't working right. So Bob, you want to talk about what people can do with their bikes in the next month?
Yeah, obviously, I heard the chatter at the beginning too that people had gotten them out and forgot how to shift and had dry rotted tires. So obviously by this point, we should have our bikes tuned up. They should be good to go. You should have ridden them a few times. From lots of event experience, some of the things that people forget to check that I think are critical is the cleats on the bottom of their shoes. I've been ample events where people will show up, they take it as a matter of fact that their shoes are good, and all of a sudden they're sliding all over, their cleat comes off completely. Check your pedals to make sure they're tight, make sure they spin well. The obvious things, that you're going to notice, it's the little things. Check your stem bolts, make sure that when you hit the big bump, if it was in the mechanic shop, that the bars don't drop. So tug, pull, push, make sure your chain is freshly lubed and clean. I think a clean bike is a happy bike, especially on event day, and it makes you feel better too. These last few training rides is a great time to put your bike through the paces and literally try to find out what's wrong with it. Look for problems and then fix them before ride day.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I'll say too, like if you're me, I'm like, where do I find my stem bolts and how do I know how much to tighten them? I'm not checking my anything. I'm taking my bike to my local bike shop and I'm handing it to my mechanic and asking him to check all those things that they should be checked. So if you have the skills and knowledge like Bob does and you want to check all that yourself, that's great. If not, we do ask that you do get a tune-up sometime before the ride. If you've done one already this spring, that's fine. But if you have not had a real bike tune-up, either because you know how to do it thoroughly yourself or taking it to a bike shop, make sure you do that.
And we're going into event season, so make that appointment as soon as you can, because you might find your local bike shop has a backlog of appointments.
Yeah. And then the other thing to talk about with this too is like, now is not the time to try anything new. So now actually is the time now, a month out. Yes. Get your new shorts now, get your new shoes now. Don't go get your new shoes on July 23rd and show up with them on the 24th. Don't go buy a brand new bike 3 days before the event and not have it fit to you. Like, now is the time, like Bob said, test everything out now when you've got a month to fix things. So if you're going to try, and that goes for not only your equipment, but your nutrition, don't try to figure out what works for you. We'll talk more about what we have available at our stops, but find out how much you like to eat and how much you need to drink now.
Yeah. If you're riding one of those hybrid bikes and you're riding a slower pace, those bikes usually have places for extra bottle cages. Make sure you got all the bottles, carry all the water you can, because you're going to need it. This week has proven that, I think, for all of us. Hydration is very important.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to write down this question about phone charger and bring that one back up because I think it's a great question. Maybe even what we are bringing. Okay. So all right, well, what do I need to bring? Maybe that's a good segue into like, what should I plan on packing when I come with me? Alyssa, you want to talk a little bit about the best packing list ever?
Yeah, I love telling everybody what to pack. Okay, so obviously you're going to need anything you need to ride your bike. Bring your cycling gear, your shorts, your jerseys, whether you have team jerseys, whether you earn a jersey, bring your jerseys. If you don't have jerseys, feel free to ride in comfortable cycling gear, whatever you're comfortable in. Your clothes, your clothes, you're going to bring things for the evening, right? You're going to want to change out of your cycling gear for those evening hours. Probably before you change to go to bed. So, we do have those social hours. So definitely think about bringing a couple changes of clothes. Your toiletries, you're staying in, most of you are staying in college dorms, right? So you kind of have to think a little bit more than hotels. So you're going to need to bring your shampoos and your conditioners. You're going to need to bring your body wash, things that you won't need to bring. This is with a caveat, but you don't need to bring linens. So we are going to provide you sheets, pillowcases, pillows that do not inflate. Okay. If you don't know about Pillowgate, ask a friend. You will know about Pillowgate by the time Panohio is over. Okay. So we have real pillows. I promise you that. One thing, and towels as well are provided. One thing I want to tell you is this is the first year we're kind of trying to explain to people that we're encouraging you to bring comfort items. So the blankets that you get at some of the colleges are like a tiny thin sheet. And if you want your air conditioning cranked up, like, and you like to sleep cold, but with a blanket, like, you got to bring something a little more than what you're going to get. We're getting the bare minimum that we get from the colleges. So just make sure if you have like a pillow that you need, the pillows that we get are pretty, they're real pillows. They don't inflate, but they're not your top of the line pillows. So just think of that. But while you're thinking of that, please also keep in mind that volunteers, staff, college students are going to be the ones moving your luggage. So while you are packing your comfort items, while you are packing your cycling gear and your shoes and all your other things, please keep in mind 2 lighter bags is easier than 1 heavy bag. So, you know, we try to keep people to like 2 bags. However, if you have 2 50-pound bags, we'd rather have you have 3 and split that up between the 2 or the 3. So the lighter bags are better, but obviously bring all the things that you're going to need. And yes, Mark mentioned in the chat, bring your anti-chafing cream. So one thing I will note in addition to these, and I know we'll touch on them in a little while, but we do provide some items. So if you forget something, we have a hospitality bin. We do have a lot of items available at our water stops. However, when we run out, we run out. And chafing cream is a big thing that we tend to run out of. So bring your own, bring stuff you like. But if you forget it or you run out, we probably have extra. So yeah, break up your luggage, bring your comfort items, bring your cycling gear. And
leave your bowling ball at home.
And leave your bowling ball at home. And
No
ask a
weighted
friend.
blanket.
Ask a friend about Pillowgate 2019.
Yeah, we'll talk about
I'll leave
that
it at
later. But yeah, and chamois butter is back on as a sponsor for us this year too. So we should have a better supply of chamois cream this year than we had last year. And yeah, all your chargers are good. We will have a charging station at the campus check-in each day if you forget yours and you need to plug in and charge your stuff. But obviously there's one charging station with a handful of chargers around it. So if you want something for back in your room, bring all your chargers and all of that you need to charge up not only your phone, but your Garmin's and your lights and whatever else you need on your bikes. Any questions of other that on what to bring? Yeah, weighted blankets. Yeah, it's July. You can leave your weighted blanket at home. And Bob, you had your hand up before. Was that just to let people know that lighter is better?
Lighter is better. And rain gear. Bring rain gear.
Yeah, for cycling, surprisingly enough, even though it gets hot in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning, especially if you're leaving at 6:30 in the morning, it can be chilly. Especially I feel like leaving out of Worcester, sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's rainy. A lot of people will use arm warmers or something like that they can easily take off once it gets warm and sunny. But we do ride rain or shine. So if you need some rain gear, a little light jacket or something, bring that along as well. Okay, yes, we do recommend riding with lights. Someone asked in the chat, Leigh-Anne answered it already, but yeah, in the morning especially, I ride with a rear flashing light all the time anyway, Garmin Varia, which changes its flashing frequency as a car comes up. So we definitely recommend you have at least a rear light all the time. And yeah, a front light you want sometimes in the mornings and for darker trails. Yeah, love the Garmin Varia or whatever other kind of rear radar you want to use is great. Anything else?
No.
All right. Okay, so that's kind of all the stuff you need to think about in the next month is what do you need to do? Where do you get your information? How do you prepare? What are you packing? So let's jump on ahead to event week. Woo! So event week usually starts Sunday or Monday when all the staff gathers in Cleveland and starts getting, I mean, they've already been packing bins and
Yeah.
supplies and stuff, but that's when Penske trucks get picked up and all that happen. Event week for a lot of you will start on Tuesday if you want to get early packet pickup. So Leigh-Anne, can you talk a little bit about how and where people get their stuff the week of the event?
Absolutely. As Stacy said, we start with packet pickups on Tuesday, and those locations, we have 3 locations on Tuesday. That's the Cleveland office of the American Cancer Society. That's on Euclid Avenue. And again, all of these addresses are on the logistics page and in the guidebook. In Columbus, you'll be visiting our lovely friends at the McGrath residence. They will be handing out packets at their homestead. And in Cincinnati, we will be inviting people to stop by our Cincinnati office. Technically, it's in Blue Ash. And we have some of our friends from the area will be there to provide packets. Then on Wednesday, if you don't want to go a day early, you can pick them up either at the kickoff dinner, or for those who are taking the buses from their different locations, from Columbus, from Dayton, and from Cincinnati, you can pick them up at the bus location. And if you are a really late riser, or you want to just wait, you can pick them up at the event start line at John Carroll on Thursday. Also, 1-day and 2-day riders can pick them up at the start lines of the day they're riding if they choose. It's always better if you can get them early so you can get your all of your goodies beforehand. And I believe I'm going to throw it to Alyssa to talk about all the goodies that are inside your packet.
All right. So when you show up to packet pickup, you're going to get a packet usually, and I usually have one to show you, but I don't today. Like manila envelope, right? And in that envelope is going to have your jersey if you've earned it by that point. And if you were in the early bird order, right? So if you were registered by our deadline for jersey ordering, you will be guaranteed your jersey. If you registered after that, it's kind of like a first come, first serve on sizes, right? If you don't receive your jersey before the event starts, you will receive one after. So that will be in there. You will also get your rider t-shirt. In addition, you will get a wristband that we ask you to wear for the entirety of the event. Basically, that just makes sure we know who's with our event. You're going to get your bib. So we'll give you your bib. It'll have your number on it. On the back of it, we'll also have all of your printed emergency contact information. So in addition, it will have the SAG emergency number and the non-emergency number. So we will go over all those phone numbers later on, but just so you know, that's going to be all on the back of your bib. You'll also have your luggage tags and some labels. Like you'll have a whole sheet of labels and you'll be like, why do I have 45 labels? You get a sheet of labels, and then we have like the luggage tags that you can tie on to each of your luggage. You take a label, they're already printed for you, and you're going to stick that on to the little tag, right? So the point of that is those luggage tags are going to have all of your dorms that you're staying on, like all your dorm assignments for the entire week. So this way, when you go to put your luggage into the dorm location pile for the next day, and we'll get to that later. But when you go to put that there, we know where your luggage needs to go for the next dorm. And if there's any confusion, it gets lost, we know exactly where to take it. So you'll get those labels and those luggage tags. You'll also get some bike numbers. So one of them is a helmet number. You can go ahead and stick that to your helmet. And you'll also get a bike number. This one's super important. You want to make sure your bike number is on your bike once you get to John Carroll, or when you're getting on your bus in Cincinnati or Dayton or Columbus. You want to put that bike number on your bike so that like we know whose bike is whose, and you can check it in and out of bike storage easily. And then there's also a couple other random number things in there that we include. You can do whatever you want with those. Some people put it on their water bottle. Some people put it on a laptop bag. Some people, whatever. There's a couple extra numbers in there for you to use. You'll also have the opportunity to grab, and this might be coming a route, but opportunity at that time to grab route cards. that will be, there's printed options as well. We don't do a ton of them because not everybody likes the printed ones because we do everything digitally, but we do have that option as well. Am I missing anything in those packets? I'm pretty sure that is everything.
Well, you mentioned event jerseys. So if you qualify at the 1,328 level, you get your event jersey. If you raise $5,000 or more by then, you also qualify for our Dynamo Club jersey. So you might get 2 jerseys if you get your Dynamo jersey as well. And then everybody will also get a t-shirt and a water bottle when they check in. So there's all your goodies. And at check-in, we also have things available like the ribbons that you can ride that say in memory of or in honor of, and you can write people's names on them, things that you want to decorate on your, some people pin them to their jerseys, or they wear tutus, or they put them on their handlebars. So a lot of things that you can get to if you want to make signs or make ribbons or things to carry names with you as you make your miles meaningful. So yeah, we'll get into route in a sec, but no, the final routes won't be available until the week before the event. So there are general routes out there. You can look at last year's routes. They're fairly similar, but we won't do we always do a final route check a couple weeks ahead of time because there's inevitably some sort of last minute road closure or detour or construction project and things change. So we don't want you to download them until right before the event. So those will be out. Okay, so that's Tuesday, and that's getting your packet. What happens on Wednesday morning? I'm going to let Darrell go with this one. Hear from someone else for a change.
Well, if you are in the Cleveland area, you've got to get yourself, including your bike and your luggage, to John Carroll University. If you're in let me go backwards. Let's leave Cincinnati for last. If you're in Columbus, we have bike parking and buses leaving from Otterbein. So that's our overnight, our Friday night overnight in Otterbein. And we'll have the address for you in the guidebook and give you more details when you do packet pickup here if you're going to Otterbein. In Dayton or the larger Dayton area, if you're parking there, you go to Wright State University. We're in the same parking lot as last year, if you did that last year. And in Cincinnati, instead of going downtown this year, you'll be parking at Lunken Airfield, which is if you don't know where Lunken is, we'll probably have to give you
pinpoint directions to where to park.
But it is right at the end of the Little Miami Bike Trail and about 5 miles shy of where we would finish if we were going all the way to Yeaman's Cove. And we'll talk more about Lunken in the end.
Yeah. A couple other notes on that. So for the bussers, the Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati people, when you show up at your parking location, like you are able to leave your car there for the whole 4.5 days of the ride. You'll put your bike on a Penske truck. I'm going to echo what Alyssa said before. You want to put your bike number on your bike before your bike goes on that truck, because unless you need it for some reason, I mean, really, it's better. You won't see that until Thursday morning. So you won't even have to touch it again. That truck will go directly to bike storage, and volunteers and Bob will unload those bikes into bike storage, and you can pick it up Thursday morning. So make sure you put your bike number on your bike before you put it on that truck.
Well, volunteers won't even accept your bike to be put on the truck if it doesn't have a number on it. So don't cause a tie up in the line of people wanting to get rid of their bikes. Have that tag on there already.
Yeah, and then from there, you'll take your own luggage on Wednesday. Take your own luggage onto the bus with you. Get up on the bus. If you are staying in the dorms overnight, we will drop you off at Murphy Hall, and you can check into the dorms and go in there. If you are staying in the hotels, you'll come over to the Dolan Science Center area where you can then get on the shuttle that will take you to the hotels. So, and then you'll be in Cleveland, and we'll kick off from there. So, any other notes, Leigh-Anne, for the locals coming in that are not coming on the bus?
Yes, if you're coming in locally, there will be signs where to park when you come to John Carroll. If you're just staying for the kickoff and then you're going to go home and come back the next morning, there's a little close parking lot. It's really not a huge difference if you park in the other lot, but it's right by the Dolan Center. Otherwise, there's the other side of that lot and behind where bike storage is, there will be parking for 4-day riders. So if you're a local and you decide you want to stay, or you've already said that you're going to stay that night, you can just park in the 4-day parking area. But really, anywhere on campus, your car is safe. They know we're going to be there. They know our cars are going to be there for 4 days. You're going to want to check in at your dorm if you're staying, or if you're going to be staying at a local hotel. We have a lot of people from Northeast Ohio that come, and they're kind of local, but not quite. So they might stay at the hotel. And so we have a shuttle that will take you to the hotel. You'll want to grab your luggage and go to the hotel with your luggage. That will not be transported for you there. And yeah, then you're good. You can check in at the dorm or at the hotel. And if you're just staying for the kickoff and going back home, you can check in the next morning, grab your bike, whatever. I always found it nice to bring my bike the night before for kickoff and leave it there, so I didn't have to worry about carrying it with me the next day when I was heading for the start line.
Agree. So what do we do with that? Like, Bob, you want to talk about, like, if you are that local, even if you are local, like Leigh-Anne said, it's nice sometimes to bring your bike the night before. What do they do with it, Bob?
So I'm a bike person. Like, when somebody wrecks, the first thing I ask is the bike okay? And like, I keep pictures of bikes on my phone all the time. And like, people will go, what's that? I'm like, oh, I just painted that one. So the bike should be first in everything that you do. So you treat it well, you clean it, you put your numbers on it, and you bring it to bike storage, or for the trucks, you bring it to the bike truck thing. You take off everything that you don't absolutely need, everything. And then the friendly bike person will load it, because they love bikes too, and they'll wrap it in a blankie and make sure it feels really safe, and we'll get it on the trucks.
Oh, I meant for the locals for bike storage.
Oh,
They're just coming and bringing it to bike storage. So that's, yeah,
Same rules.
that blanket thing and all that, same rules apply.
Yeah.
Take your water bottles off, take your bags off,
Mhm.
take your wallet out of
sorry.
it, because it's going to be in the back of a truck. So when
Yeah.
you need your wallet later, sorry.
Don't make the mistake of handing your bike off with the bike computer on there, because you're not going to get to charge it.
Yeah, but
Make
where
sure
is
it's
bike
on
storage
your
though?
bottles.
For people
so
bringing
on
their,
at John Carroll, as you face the check-in, you'll go to your right and down around the corner, and there will be signage everywhere. So follow the signs, follow the arrows, or ask one of the staff people or volunteers, and they'll point you to bike storage. Bike storage at John Carroll is a walk it back yourself. There's normally people to check to make sure that you have a number on it, that the right person doesn't walk out with somebody else's bike. So bikes go in, bikes don't come out. So
perfect.
And if you already have your What 3 Words app downloaded to your phone, we'll also have that navigation available for you to the bike drop off pickup.
One more note I forgot about for
Well,
the
I gotta-
bus people.
oh.
Wait, let me.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, is the bike times the same this year, or
Yeah.
before we get into?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention. Darrell's trying to ask me the question I was already trying to answer. I did forget to mention, we were talking about the buses. If you're a returning rider, you might be used to the old drill of things. If you're new, you're like, you don't care, you're showing up at the time anyway. But we are actually having our buses leave Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati 1 hour earlier this year than normal. I'm going to tell you about why in just a minute, but we want to get everyone up to Cleveland just a little bit earlier this year, and also just give everyone a little extra time to get checked in. So bus times are in the guidebook. We will be stressing those a lot, especially since that is a change this year, but bus times will be 1 hour earlier than you are accustomed to from the past. So let's talk about this. All right, so everyone's to Cleveland now, whether they came up on a bus or drove themselves there. What do they do when they get there, Leigh-Anne?
So you're going to enter the Dolan Science Center at John Carroll University, and you'll be greeted by some lovely volunteers. If you're checking in or picking up your packet, there's a table for that, but we'll also have some beverages available, both soft drinks and the adult kind. Will be ready. We'll be starting dinner this year at 5 p.m., which is just a little bit earlier than usual. It is buffet style, and we try to plan a menu that's very accommodating for everyone. So there will be vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, things like that. If you don't see it out and you have a limitation, ask someone, because a lot of times what they do is they put those unique foods, those vegan or gluten-free things aside so that they don't get eaten up before people who actually need them can get to them. So you might have to ask someone, hey, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan, where's the option? And they will get it for you. We will have a guest speaker starting at 6 p.m. Again, this is earlier than usual, and we will be telling you why in a minute. But the guest speaker will be at 6 p.m. and we will be having a volunteer, and SAG meetings will immediately follow at right around 6:30. We do invite you to bring guests with you. We just ask if you're bringing guests to try and let us know ahead of time. Again, you can email us at that panohio.info@cancer.org email address and let us know that you're bringing guests, just so we can plan for food. But even if you don't, we usually have plenty of food available. We try to over plan for our meals. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, but usually it does. So don't feel like if you haven't told us you can't bring your spouse or a child or something like that. This is a time for families to really wish you well and get to know about the mission and things like that. So
Awesome.
that's what happens when you get there for the kickoff.
Yeah, and again, that is all a little bit earlier this year, so we're hopeful that that will still give local people coming, dinner for all participants, and feel free to bring guests. So dinner is for everyone, big celebration. So local folks come out, people come out on the bus. Feel free to bring guests, but helpful if you can let us know for planning purposes. And then the speaker is usually very impactful. So let's speaking of the mission. Typically, we will have someone very connected to the mission. It's often the manager of the Cleveland Hope Lodge. Often we get to have a guest that was either a patient or a caretaker of a patient at the Hope Lodge. And we have something kind of extra special this year. So, Alyssa, why are we doing all of this an hour earlier than usual this year?
So we're really excited this year to be able to offer everyone an opportunity to be transported right over to get a tour of the Hope Lodge. As you know, the money that we are raising through this event does go directly there. And what a cool opportunity we have to be able to take you guys there and show you what it's all about and where our money is going, show you the Hope Lodge grilling station, show you the brand new kitchens and the state-of-the-art guest rooms that they have there now. So obviously this isn't mandatory. We will have a shuttle going back and forth. That's going to be, I think loading is around 7:15. And we will continue to share all of the details as we get more solidified and we get closer, but we're really, really excited to take you guys over there. This is kind of coming on the back end of a day that the Hope Lodge is starting nationally called, it's a program called Empower. And Hope Lodges all throughout the country are starting it to try to kind of invite other cancer patients and families and caregivers from the surrounding area to participate in things at the Hope Lodge. So, they do yoga programs and cooking classes, and they're trying to kind of involve the community a little bit more. And their Empower Kickoff Event happens to be the same day as our Kickoff Event. And while their event is ending at 5 p.m. so that their manager and the guest can come to our dinner, we are then going to kind of go back with them for them to show us their home, and we're really, really excited to be able to take you guys there. So I hope you guys are excited and understand our hour earlier transportation. If you've been or you aren't interested, you have plenty of, opportunity to go back to your room, hang out on campus, whatever you may wish. But I think it's going to be really special for all of us to kind of be there together. We'll probably do some fun group pictures and things. So.
Yeah, and if you are local in the greater Cleveland area, you are welcome to stop by during the day too, during that open house that's happening during the day. And then, the out of town folks that come in on the buses could shuttle over later. So we will totally be sending out information with that invitation to the daytime thing later as well. And if you want to stay on campus or you've seen the Hope Lodge, that's fine too. The party will continue as well. So and if you can't come till later, don't stress like you're going to miss dinner if you're not there at 5. Dinner will continue to be served after the presentation, and we'll continue to have the drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks available through the evening until after that bus gets back, usually till 9 or 10 o'clock. So don't feel like you're going to miss it if you can't get there right at 5. You could come when the presentation starts and then grab dinner afterwards. That's fine. There's a little gap in there too. Like the presentation is usually brief this night. It'll be done by 6:30 at the latest, 6:20, 6:30. We want to leave a little gap in there before the bus loads for the Hope Lodge because our volunteers usually have a meeting in that gap of time. So you'll have plenty of time to get dinner even if you can't get there an hour earlier. We'll make sure you get fed and taken care of. All right, so that is Wednesday night. That is all of our kickoff festivities and party. Again, all are welcome. Feel free to bring guests out to that. Just let us know if you could, and we look forward to really setting the tone for an amazing weekend. And then Thursday morning, it's go time. So what do I do when I wake up Thursday morning? I'm going to throw that one back to Leigh-Anne.
Yeah, so Thursday morning is probably going to be your most relaxed morning, believe it or not, of the ride, because we're having a group start, so you can be a little bit more casual about getting up and getting your breakfast and things like that. But what you're going to do is you're going to set your alarm, unless you're like me and you're just so excited you don't sleep. But you're going to pack up your room and get your bags out. You're going to check out of the dorm, drop off your keys in the lobby. That's very important to drop off your keys. We get charged if keys aren't returned, so we really ask you to drop off your keys when you check out of the dorm, when you leave. If you forget, give them to a staff member, and we'll make sure they get back. But try to just drop them off at that time. If you're at a hotel, you're going to grab the hotel shuttle. It's going to be running pretty early in the morning. Again, the schedule is listed both on the website on the logistics page as well as in the rider guidebook. And yeah, so you're going to be all ready to go. You're going to head over to Dolan Science Center, and Bob is going to tell you some more about that. Bob,
Well, my part is fun because you get to do stuff that's great for you. One, drop off your luggage. Luggage will have signs outside the dorms or outside the pickup where we'll consolidate luggage, and you don't have to worry about it. The rest of us will worry about it. So one, drop off luggage at the designated spot. If possible, there might be lines that say what dorm you're going to. Read your label, drop it off in the right line. That's it. If you get luggage in the right spot, it'll make it to the next right spot. Go fuel your body. And while you're there, stop by the fuel and hydration station and load up on things that you will want on the first part of the ride. We have ample aid stations, but your bike loves to be ridden. It doesn't like to stop. It wants to go. So stop and get all the supplies you need to keep your happy bike happy and rolling forward. And then go get your bike from bike storage because it's ready to go and you should be ready too. So you dropped off your luggage, you fueled yourself, you got all the stuff for your bike. Now your bike is happy to be out of storage and you're ready to ride.
All right. So then where do you go, Alyssa?
Question.
Oh, wait, Darrell has a question.
What if you get your bike and it isn't happy?
Oh, that's a great question.
There's someone there that can help you?
There is someone there that can help you. So we will have mechanics available at the start line. Our good friend Chad Johnson, who many of you know because he's been around Panohio since 2008, I think. I think he may have missed the first one too. We'll be at the start line. We'll also have Dave Bear from Bear Wheels with us for all 4 days. We may have extra Cleveland area mechanics just at the start line as well. So if anyone gets your bike out of storage and you're like, oh, something, shifted around while it was, like Bob said, we take very good care of your bikes and wrap them in snuggly little blankets for the truck rides. But, every now and then, something, maybe your mirror got bumped out or something, Chet can fix that for you. And we will also have lots of pumps. So if your tires need a little air, there will be lots of pumps around that you can either help yourself to, or Chet or Dave can help you with that. So great question. Okay, so now I got my bike and it is for sure good to go. And again, I do recommend, like, when I get my bike out of the storage, I like to just ride a lap around the parking lot just to make sure, like, don't wait until you're at the start line to realize that your chain's off the gears or something. Like, take a lap out of bike storage around the parking lot on your way to the start line. All right. Yeah, and like Leigh-Anne just mentioned, breakfast starts at 6 that day. So come on over, grab something to eat, fuel yourself up. And then what, Alyssa?
Then it's party time. All right. So picture this. You're in front of the Dolan Science Center. The DJ's playing. The sun is shining, but not too hot. Okay. Just like a little bit of sun. We just need a little bit of happy, right? There is going to be a table that's going to have sunscreen. So please, if you did not already sunscreen yourself, or even if you did, add some more. We do not want anyone to look, we don't want to look like this. Okay. We want to use our sunscreen. So fill up your water bottles. We will have water and Gatorade stations available for you to fill up upon arrival. And then you're going to enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the vibe. You're going to get lined up in front of the Dolan Science Center. If you are a returning participant, instead of facing that direction, east, west, north, south, whatever, you're going to face the other way. So we're going out the opposite entrance this year. Okay. So last year there was some construction over there, which is why we did not. So we're going to go out that direction. Darrell, you're on mute. Are you we just doing
He's just playing charades over here.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
down
he's
the middle.
it's fine.
Down
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We do have everybody line up, and our Dynamo riders are going out first. So they will line up and wear their Dynamo jerseys on day one. If you've reached the Dynamo level, we encourage you to wear your Dynamo jersey on day one. So they will line up first and kind of lead us out, and then everyone else will follow. So day one is a group start. So we leave at 8:30. And that is a police escort for the first mile. So the police literally will not let us start any earlier than 8:30. We've tried. We can't leave any earlier than 8:30 to avoid the rush hour traffic, and it's probably a safer option anyway. So the mass starts. It's very controlled. We make sure that everyone's going very slowly. It is, again, escorted, and we do have SAG readily available. Darrell, do you have anything else that you'd like to add? I know we're turning it over to you about route afterwards, but anything else? There was a question in the chat about the safety of a group start.
I would just add that this, always keep in mind that this is a ride, not a race. So it's not a mass start like a race. It's more of a parade start. And we encourage in that first mile when we have the escort to stretch out and find the group that you intend to ride with and take it easy.
Sometimes it's hard to know, but yeah. And I'll be honest, if you're not comfortable with it, that's okay too. When I first started the first several years, I'm just going to go to the back, and after everyone else has left, then I will get on my bike and go, because I didn't like people close to me, and that is okay too. Find your place that you feel comfortable. We do ask everyone to just be super slow, communicate, talk to people around you. Don't try to pass people, just keep your space and stay in it. It's just where you fit in, get in where you fit in, because like Darrell said, it's not a race. So everyone's rolling out, and we are going to have that escort for the first, couple miles or so. So it is going to be slow, and you are not going to be passing anyone. By the time we get onto open road, people will stretch out, and then you'll have room to pass and move at your pace. And you keep in mind, I know there's a lot of people here, which I'm excited about, from the Philadelphia Bike-a-thon. And I'll be honest, that was a little bit of a scary start for me. I'm like, oh my God, there's like thousands of people around me right now. We only have, we'll probably have fewer than 250 riders on the road this year for all 4 days. So, we're talking somewhere around 250 to at most we've ever had. There were a couple of years we had 400 to 500 people, but we're usually in the 250 to 300 riders. So it's not as massive as some of the giant group starts that you might be thinking of from other events. So just don't be in a hurry at the start. Stay in your lane, stay in your space. Don't try to be passing, kind of look around. Mark just hit it several miles into the ride. We will be passing the Hope Lodge. So if you've seen that the night before, you'll know where it is, but usually some guests are out front with some signs. We ask that people don't stop. It is on the opposite side of the road from where we're going, but just take it easy, slow roll down there, give them a wave, ring your bells. They'll be ringing cowbells. Enjoy the moment. You have plenty of time over the next 4 days to get in your groove and hit your pace and ride fast if you want to stretch your legs out. The beginning of the ride, I think the parade ride is a great way to think of it. So just be mindful, head on a swivel. And again, if you're not comfortable with that, feel free to line up at the back. SAGs aren't going to leave until all the riders are out. So I will say, if you get too far behind, you might miss out on the escort police through those first couple intersections. So just be mindful. It is not a closed course on any of this. traffic lights are in play. If we are in a big group and you are still where intersections are blocked, you can get through. But if you're way behind, that may be moved on before you get there. We're not able to do what Bikeathon does and have that kind of support the whole way. So after those first couple miles, you are strictly on your own for traffic control and intersections and stuff like that. So just be mindful that if you're too far at the back, that escort may have moved on.
So one last thing about the group start. I think most of our riders are part of a team, and most teams are probably between 5 and 10 people on average. So those teams actually figure out where they want to start in the group. And if you're a dynamo, you're separated from your team, you're out front, but you're after you start, fall back to your team rather than expecting your team to race up to you. And then during that first half mile, all the teams pretty much clump together, and then it's a very controlled, you're riding with a group you're, hopefully familiar with and comfortable riding with.
And if not, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you start on your own, you'll probably find your group by the end of the day and then ride with them the rest of the weekend. Or I know I always liked, and some people like to just mix in with different groups here and there to get to know different people throughout the weekend too.
Yeah.
So there's a million different ways to make this ride your ride and something for everyone with it. So safe clumps. I like
Yeah,
I like
safe clumps.
being a safe clump. And obviously we'll talk about trail etiquette a bit later. If you're getting into some areas with trails, you want to spread out don't be in a big clump, right? Don't be in a pace line. If you're out on open country roads and your team is comfortable and you know each other and you want to ride in a peloton, go for it, but not on a trail. Spread yourselves out and be slower and mindful. So just be aware of your surroundings where you are, and just always remember it's a tour. It's not a race. So we don't even have tracking chips on you.
Yeah.
No one's going to know how fast you finished. So don't even worry about it. And there was a question in the chat earlier that we kind of touched on, but I just want to bring it up again. Day one is the only day that we have this group start. So it is late. Part of this is because it is a weekday. It is a Thursday. It's a work day. We've done traffic counts. We've done studies. And we're going to be going through the University Circle area, coming across, going through downtown Cleveland, and Cleveland police really wanted us to be doing that after rush hour traffic. So it'll be, 9 o'clock by the time we're hitting downtown Cleveland instead of 7:30 or 8. So I know it is a late day for a long day that can be hot by the end of the day. Really not a whole lot we can do about that. But the other 3 days, you are welcome to leave anytime after bike storage has opened. So bike storage opens and you can get breakfast usually at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So we'd ask you not to keep your bike and leave before that, because first of all, it's going to be dark, but also because our SAGs won't be on the road until the course officially opens. But yeah, if you want to get an early jump every other day, that's fine. Day one is the only day we're doing the group. Any other questions about kickoff, start line, getting to go? Or we're out there now, we have an escort. You can follow everybody in your safe clump for the first mile or two. What do I do after that? How do I know where to go once that escort's gone, Darrell?
Well, we have 3 ways that you can figure out where you're going. The first and probably most popular way that you're going to use is we're going to publish all of these routes on Ride with GPS. If you're familiar with that, we'll also provide direct links to where you can download a GPX file that you can put on any computer navigation system or whatever. And that route will be updated. Ideally, that route will be updated to the minute. But of course, if you download it the night before and we have to change something to it, you'll be working with an outdated file. So just always keep that in mind. It's always best to go from the most recently updated file. Second way to navigate is we will have signs on the route. We work with a company called Run the Land. The land in question is Cleveland, so they're very familiar with that area, but they work throughout the entire state, and they will place signs out on the route. And when necessary, they will place markers actually on the pavement. There will be a turn is coming up sign, hey, here's the turn sign, and hey, you turn, good for you sign. And occasionally there will be a, hey, you missed the turn around sign out there in those very confusing areas.
So on really long straightaways, there'll also be a, yeah, you're still going the right way. Don't worry, you didn't miss a turn. You're still going straight for miles and miles.
Sometimes you're going straight for a long time. We put out a little confirmation sign. And maybe sometimes there will be just a, hey, way to go sign, but hopefully not a you're almost there sign, because those are annoying. And then the third option for navigation, as we mentioned earlier, we will have cue sheets. Those are probably the least precise way to go, but they're nice to have. But of course, we have to print those cue sheets out ahead of time to make sure they're in your packets when you pick them up, and that we have them available to start. So cue sheets are great to have, just to make sure you're not completely lost if you think you are. But I would not rely entirely on cue sheets. I would probably do a mixture of cue sheets and signage if you're not technically literate.
Yeah.
But between those three methods, we have a really good record of people not getting lost. And as a backup, we do have our wonderful SAG team, which will have a truck following the last rider. And this year, we're also going to have the last rider that will be following the last rider. So just as long as you stay on the route, don't decide you're going to stop at a coffee shop that's a quarter mile off the route because you know where it is, because then we don't have eyes on you, so we can't do anything about you being lost. But otherwise, you shouldn't have any problem figuring out where you're going.
Yeah. And Alyssa mentioned earlier, I'll just repeat, like, we don't print enough cue sheets for everyone anymore because a lot of people just don't care and don't use them. So we've kind of figured out how many is enough for the people that want them. So if you like that, by all means, take it. But if you're just going to shove it in your bag and never look at it again, don't take it just because it's there either. So I love them personally. I don't use my ride with GPS. I love the signs and looking at how long till the next stop and this and that. I love the cue sheets, so I love them. But if they're not your thing, that's cool. We'll have hopefully enough for everyone that wants them. And with that, I liked one of the mentions that someone made in the chat before, talking about the long ride can seem very daunting, but it's nice to take it. And I think Steve brought this up too, just section to section. Like, you're not going out there and riding 328 or 345 miles or whatever it is. You're not even going out and riding 80 miles or whatever day one is. You're going out there to ride, somewhere between 12 and 20 miles at a time. So Alyssa, you want to talk about the support that you get along the way?
Yeah. So, you hear about water stops, right? We're not your average water stop. We don't just have water and Gatorade. We've got all the things. So obviously we encourage you to all be bringing your own stuff, right? If you know, oftentimes when you're riding, you get a headache and you need to bring your Advil, or you have a certain chamois butter that you like that you want to bring, we do encourage you to bring those things. However, things happen. You get out on the ride, you hurt your finger, you get some type of injury, right? We've got a whole first aid area. So we've got Band-Aids, we've got ace bandages, we've got gauze and tape and all your first aid supplies. Then we also have your water and your Gatorade. This year we have a new addition for hydration purposes. We have Element, if you're not familiar. It's another sodium packed electrolyte filling drink that's very salty. At our volunteer in-person event, we did a taste testing and it was actually enjoyable. So yes, for whoever mentioned electrolytes, this is another option. So yeah, definitely a couple more options than Gatorade this year. And then we have snacks on snacks on snacks. There will be surprise pop-ups of pickle juice. They are not at every single stop, usually later in the day. Every lunch will have pickle juice. We have sunscreen. We have your salty snacks, your sweet snacks, your peanut M&Ms. We've got all kinds of things. So we are not just your average water stop. But you're riding, you're starting off at 5:30 in the morning having breakfast. Oh gosh, now I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. I don't want to just survive on pretzels and Rice Krispie treats or whatever. We have a fully stocked lunch station, fully catered lunch station every single day of the ride. So day one, we have Winking Lizard catering, and you get Winking Lizard delicious catered food for lunch. Day 2, 3, and 4, we have a whole different menu of options that are come from a catering company that we've worked with for years, who are incredible. And whatever you do, make sure you get the chips from corporate caterers. Day 2, 3, and 4, they make homemade chips. They're incredible. Don't pass them up. Yeah, they're the tropical chips and they're amazing. And the cookies and the cheesecake. It just, If anyone
you know
tells you
what?
you're gonna, if anyone tells you you're gonna like drop weight on this ride because you're riding so many miles, you're not. You're gonna eat so much on this ride because no one goes hungry. Plenty of food. So yeah, these water stops are every 12 to 20 miles. Every once in a while it's like 10 miles. Every once in a while you might be pushing that 20, but if we're pushing the far zone and we notice it's a really hot day, we'll throw in a pop-up water stop maybe. But again, this is where you're going to kind of lean on the SAG if you get into a position that you can't make it to the next water stop. So I will pass that over to Leigh-Anne. But one more thing is, if at the lunch stop you don't see like gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian options, please ask. Sometimes we give them our count and they hold them in the back so that not everyone's taking your gluten-free sandwich. Make sure you ask. Don't hesitate to be like, hey, I'm gluten-free. They will give you something. Cool.
I just wanted to jump in too before we throw this over to Leigh-Anne for SAG. Alyssa mentioned like feel free to bring your own stuff, but also feel free to not. If you're not picky, I feel like my first Pan Ohio, I probably packed an extra suitcase full of snacks that it wasn't Bob then, but someone had to move around. And I think I went home with more stacks than I started with because I'd go to a water stop and I'd eat a snack and I'd stuff one in my pocket for later. Then I'd get to my next water stop and I'd eat 2 more snacks and shove another one in my pocket. And at the end of the day, I have all these snacks in my pocket. So that's me. I'm not really picky about what we eat. So you don't really need to bring your own stuff unless you have some very specific thing that works for you and that deviating from that might bother you. I think if we will have all the usual salty snacks, pretzels, chips, things like that, fruit, fresh fruit. We have fresh bananas and grapes and clementines. I know like fresh grapes are always a real favorite. Might get some peanut butter and it'll be a little different each time, but huge variety of snacks. And like I said, since we have more hydration options with Gatorade and Element this year, you shouldn't. Yeah, what we won't have is if you want gels or things like that. If that's the only thing that gets you through the day, that's the kind of thing that you might need. If you have something very custom, or if you really like gel type of hydration or nutrition instead of solid food, then you might want to bring your own. But literally, I brought all my own snacks and went home with more than I started with the first year. And the one other thing I wanted to mention about water stops, just for everyone's safety and hygiene, we will be having volunteers fill your water and Gatorade bottles. Anything on the table, like any unpackaged fruit, they will hand you as well. You're welcome to take any packaged snacks off the table yourself, but water stops are a no glove zone. So when you get to your bike, usually people take off their helmets right away. Make it a habit to take your gloves off too and leave them in your helmet with your bike. Grab some hand sanitizer. We'll have hand sanitizer everywhere. Cycling gloves are one of the germiest, grossest things. So we don't want you reaching for that snack table with them. And then bring your water bottle, unscrew the lid of the water bottle and hand it to the volunteers and they'll be happy to put ice in it if you want, fill it with water or Gatorade or give you water in an Element packet or whatever you want. But just, kind of keep safety and hygiene in mind too, that water stops are a no glove zone. Mm-hmm. Anything else on stops? Yeah, so let's talk about the other support we have. Leigh-Anne? What if you're getting something in between stops?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm going to give a quick tip to new riders or first-time riders who aren't used to doing an endurance ride. First of all, when you take a snack, do put one in your pocket for later because you don't want to be halfway between water stops. You want to be able to nosh when you need to. One of the best tips I got after my first year was to set an alarm on my phone. So every 5 miles or every 30 minutes, I got a little ding and I took a bite of something because I was bonking between. I was just not eating enough calories because you can only eat so much when you stop. And then you need to sometimes you need to refuel and drink in between. And having a little alarm set that reminds you to eat and take some water. You should be emptying your bottles between stops. They should, however many you have to carry, they should pretty much be empty between stops. So that's my tip for you there. So yes, support and gear though. So if you do bunk between water stops, if you get lost, if you get injured or something happens, your bike is not happy with you and you need to have some mechanical help, you are going to turn to SAG. That's support and gear for those who aren't familiar with the term. And one of our SAG drivers is at the very back, and that's called the sweep. He's Dave. Dave is my good friend because we spent a lot of time on the road together, me and Dave, being the caboose at 10.5 to 12 miles an hour. I was the caboose, and Dave and I got to know each other really well. So if you don't see them, they are there to help you, but if you don't see them, don't assume they're not around. You just need to call them. We will drill the number into your brain and have you put it in your phone and everywhere else that you possibly can. It will be, I believe, on your bib. It will be on the cue cards. Everywhere will be the number for you to call if you need SAG. They are there to help. They can come directly to you when you use your what 3 words. They can provide you water, Gatorade, snacks. They have air pumps to pump up your tires. They have a few extra tubes. They do not necessarily have the ability to change your tires for you, but if you have everything you need but a tube, they can give you a tube and help you along your way. If they can't, or you can't change your tire by yourself and you need to get to the next water stop, they will put your bike on the back of their vehicle and drive you to the water stop. They will give you a rest. That's the other thing. A lot of times you just need a little break. You know, if it is 20 miles between water stops and you've gotten to mile 15 and you're like, I know I need a rest, they will put your bike on the back of their car and take you the next 5 miles, stop at the water stop, rest, get hydrated, get fueled, and then you can go. The other thing they will help with, that line I'm talking about, is an emergency. So sometimes we don't want it to happen. We pray it doesn't, but we have to be prepared if there's an emergency, whether that's medical, whether it's an injury or an illness. If you start to dehydrate, if you start to get heat exhaustion or heat stroke, if God forbid you have a cardiac moment or something like that, we want you to use your best judgment and call 911 if it's merited, but you also need to call SAG and tell them that you're having an emergency. They will, because we have an ambulance that follows our ride. So our ambulance may actually be closer than 911's and they can get you right away. But SAG also needs to know where you are and that 911 has been called, they're on their way, things like that. We need all of that information documented, and we want to be able to help you and be safe with you. So when you call them, in that case, you, or if you see a rider who is in distress and you're calling for them, they're going to need your name, your rider number, and your location and what happened. So you hit a pothole, you crash, you're all bruised up, you need somebody to come and check you and things like that. You're going to tell them that. So, but we always hope that's the worst case scenario, and that never happens, and that they're just stopping to make sure you have enough water and Gatorade and snacks, because we push snacks like they're going out of business.
Eat more snacks. Eat more snacks.
Yes, eat more snacks. People will always be asking you, are you getting enough to eat? Are you getting enough to drink? I have, as a volunteer and as a staff person, have had volunteers come up to me and go, do you need any water? Let me get you some more water. Are you staying hydrated? And that's important because our volunteers need to stay hydrated and fueled too, because they're out in the sun with you.
Yes. So,
Darrell, did you have a question?
Yeah, this is just a quick opportunity to show how What 3 Words works, because if you had an incident, when you call that, the first thing they're going to want to know is where you are. And you're not going to say, well, this Mud Lake and Westfield, I think that last sign that I saw says. No, what you'll say is Bottom Hustle Published. They'll put the link in. I'm going to drop this in the chat. They'll be able to go click that link, and it will take them right to the intersection of Westfield Road and Mud Lake Road, right before Westfield Road changes names to Canaan Center Road. That's very confusing for them.
It's super confusing. There's a lot of roads in Ohio that change names, and you don't even realize you're not on the same road you think you are. You're not on the same road you turned onto. It can be very challenging to give directions when you're in the middle of rural Ohio. So, all right,
give them those 3 words. They'll say, okay, we're
on our way. So we mentioned
last year I rode.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the last year I rode before I joined the staff, I actually was on a very, very long road through the park, and I started to suffer from heat exhaustion. I stopped sweating. I was feeling a little dizzy, things like that. So I plopped down under a tree and I called SAG and they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Well, I just passed the red barn." And they said, "Yeah, that doesn't help us."
Oh, that clears it up.
There are literally no cross streets when you're riding through the park for that long. There were no cross streets. There was a historic red barn, and that was the last, icon. So we eventually figured it out. They dispelled the ambulance, or they sent the ambulance to me to check me out, make sure I was okay. I got hydrated, I got cooled off, and everything was fine. They took me to the lunch stop, but that's a perfect example of, it doesn't have to be anything severe. You don't, but it's good to have that support, and we want to be there to support you.
Yeah.
Probably.
And again, like the.
Oh, I was just gonna say, they've been using the system for a year now. It works perfectly for them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Last year was our trial,
Yeah.
and it was great.
And
It
they've
worked
been using
really
it
well.
ever since.
Yeah. So yeah, and Leigh-Anne did mention, if you have mechanical issues, the mechanics won't necessarily be able to come to you, but the SAG can pick you up and take you to where the nearest mechanic is. They will be at the start and the finish and lunch every day, and then usually some of the other water stops. We can't promise they'll be at all of them, but they should be at one of the stops nearby. So if you have to get taken to the mechanic, you can. With that said, though, like Bob, what else should people bring with them on the bike if they have specific needs for a specific gel that they can't live without, or whatever flavor of whatever they want? What else should they bring with them on the ride?
So one of the things that I think you need to have, whether you know how to install it or not, is the right type of tube and the right size for your bike. A lot of people are running tubeless right now. If your sealant goes out and it's not self-sealing, you're going to need a tube. If you don't know how to change it, that's great. Somebody will help you, but make sure you have the right type, the valve stem length, the right material. Like I use latex or TPU tube. Some people use butyl. It doesn't really matter. Just know what your bike needs, know what you need, buy it from your shop. Everyone's happy to fix it, but we need to make sure that we have the right things to fix it. I really recommend everybody get a quality multi-tool with a set of Allen wrenches, chain breaker, and a knife. Whether or not you know how to use it, it's really nice. If I roll up, I empty your bag, I use your stuff, I fix your bike, I put your stuff back in your bag and send you on your way. It's really just common bike courtesy there.
Yeah, and like, Alyssa mentioned earlier, someone like, we'll have some spare tubes at the stops. All the SAGs have some spare tubes in their bins, but they're going to be the pretty standard size. So that goes even double if you are riding an unusual bike. If you have that hybrid with fatter tires, or we have had people riding mountain bikes on Pan Ohio. If you have an unusual size, don't count on us having the tube that you need. We'll have pretty standard road bike sizes. But if you need something special, that goes double. One of the other things that we recommend, if you can swing it, is getting a spare derailleur hanger too, just because that is one of the most common things. Like I've done this classic, like I stopped, didn't unclip, and just fell over at a stop and bent my derailleur hanger. And those are all very different for different bikes. So it's a cheap little thing you can grab and have in your bag. So, like I said, the Dave Bear has a van full of pretty good allotment of tools and supplies. But especially if you need something unique for your bike, it's helpful if you can have it. But just to stress, you don't have to know how to use it. You can hand it to the mechanic and they can install it and do stuff for you. But that's super helpful. All right. One other thing to talk about on supports. And I'll just run through this one. I think if you've signed up for the Pan Ohio Express bus, or if you haven't signed up for it, but you think you might be interested, I just want to chat about that briefly. We have a half day option. So, 80, 90 miles is a lot for some people, and that's okay. Last year, we started our Pan Ohio Express for the first time, which gives riders an opportunity to do half days for 1, 2, or all 4 days of Pan Ohio. So you cycle to the lunch stop, 40 to 50 miles, and then you hang out at lunch. You get to relax. You put your bike on a bike rack that's marked for Pan Ohio Express buses. There will be someone there to check you in. And after lunch is done, a bus will come and pick you up and take you to the college, and a truck will come and all the bikes will get put on the truck and will be transported directly to bike storage. And you can have a relaxing afternoon and just get to college. So it's a fun option. If you have signed up for that, that's great. If you didn't sign up for it, but you feel like you're having a rough morning and you want to tap out at lunch, you can still go check in with that Pan Ohio Express manager, and sort of on a first come, first served basis, if they have room, they can add you to that bus. There is extra room. We do ask if you signed up and you're getting to lunch and you're like, I feel great today. I don't want to take that bus. I'm having my best day. I want to keep riding. That's also okay. Just let the bus manager know so they can cross your name off the list and maybe open a spot for someone else. So whether you signed up or not, that is an option to you. It does not replace SAG. SAG is still available throughout the afternoon. You know, like Leigh-Anne mentioned, sometimes you don't want to go all the way to the college. Maybe you just want to skip ahead. Some people will skip after lunch and just go to the next stop. Or maybe somewhere in the afternoon they're getting tired, but they want to finish. So they'll ask SAG to drop them off at the last water stop of the day. So then they ride in that last segment. There's options. You know, SAG cannot always accommodate very specific requests, but they will try. Sometimes it might mean moving you forward a little bit and then you wait and move forward till someone else is going forward. So they will try as much as they can to get you where you need to go forward within reason. So lots of options for support if you need it, or if you just feel like you can't finish. So let's talk about route a little bit more. Actually, let's talk about timing first before we get into route stuff. Leigh-Anne, we talked about the ride all day pace. What does that mean as far as timing?
Ride all day means you start when you want to. Like we said, we ask that you wait until bike storage opens. We don't want you breaking in. And preferably you've had some breakfast so that you're fueled to get to the first stop. That allows our SAG drivers and our water stop people to get out to their first locations and be ready for you. We don't have cutoffs on Thursday or Friday. If you arrive at the college at 6 or 7 o'clock, there will be someone there to check you in. We may have to figure out some dinner plans for you, but because it depends on when we have the cafeteria closing, but you can ride as late as you need to. The sweep driver will be behind you, so behind the last driver. Chances are good though. I've never arrived at the college past 6 o'clock, and I am one of the slowest riders on the ride. I have always been one of the slowest riders on the ride. I will typically get there no later than 6. So you're riding for 12 hours, not constantly, but over the course of the day. There are 2 days when we have some cutoffs, where we do ask you to finish by a certain time, or we will SAG you. That is Saturday night, because we have a celebration. We can figure that out, Stacy. I didn't mean to make it like, but if someone's arriving past the 6:30 hour or whatever's posted and they are getting worried or whatever, we'll make sure they get fed is what I was trying to say. But yeah. So on Saturday night, we ask you to finish by 5 p.m. That means we want you through the last water stop by 4 p.m. If you're not through that last water stop by then, we will SAG you to Wright State University. So everybody has an opportunity, including our SAG drivers, our sweep drivers, our volunteers, to get cleaned up and have dinner and then head over to the recognition celebration. We're going to cover that in a little more detail later, but that's our big party night. So we want to make sure everyone has a chance to go there and be ready for it. And then Sunday afternoon, we want you to finish by 3 so that you can get on the buses to go home. So again, if you're not through the last water stop by 2 p.m., the SAG drivers will move you forward at Lunkin. You can, we'll take you on to the airport terminal at the corner of where the airport road and the trail coincide. And you can ride your bike up airport road so that you can finish without any problem and be, ride through the finish line. And again, that's so that everybody can get cleaned up, enjoy a little food, and then get on the bus in time.
So, all right, we're going to circle back on the Lincoln Party in a minute, Alan. I'm going to put a pin in your question there. Just a couple other quick things on route. And I think some of this campus detail stuff we may blow through a little bit faster just because you can read the details in the guidebook too. But I want to talk a little bit about routes. Someone asked about, how hilly is it? It is a mix. It is a mix of about half and half-ish, would you say, roads and paved multi-use trails?
This year, we're probably a little bit more than 50% trails, a little less than on roads.
So it is a mix. The roads are not closed roads, so you do need to follow traffic regulations and all laws. But we also want to be mindful of everyone's safety from a weather and heat perspective. So there is a section in the guidebook that details this about issues that might come up that cause us to have to either temporarily or permanently close the course for a day. And we have a flag system. So every water stop will have a flag. And it'll be a green flag, a yellow flag, a red flag, or a black flag, depending on course conditions. So anytime you check into a water stop, you just want to kind of see what is the course condition here. Green is, hey, it's the perfect day. The weather's beautiful. It's sunny, but not too hot. And there's like no storms or anything. Enjoy the day. A yellow day might be there's maybe some weather brewing or the temperature's starting to creep up. And maybe you want to start to be mindful of hydrating extra or taking longer breaks, getting in the shade more when you can. If there's a red flag situation, that could be for one of two reasons. It could either be for a temporary course closure, which we've had in the past for random road issues where there was a temporarily closed road ahead and we had to hold people at a certain water stop until that part of the road was cleared. Or there was a giant thunderstorm coming through that had potential funnel clouds and we couldn't have people riding in a certain part of the state. So we held everyone at the water stops where they were until that cleared. Those things are temporary. That is a course closure until it is cleared and you can continue. Or it could turn red because of heat, in which case we ask you to just proceed at your discretion based on your own training and how well acclimated you are to heat. This green, yellow, red, and black for temperature, we go according to, you want to talk about what bulb club temperature? I'm gonna let Darrell explain this because he gets it better than, he's the weather guy.
Yeah, I'm not super scientific, so I'll try to keep this vague. The wet bulb globe temperature is a way of measuring the temperature, the actual outside air temperature, and the humidity and the dew point. And basically, it's used by sports organizations, like if you have kids that play Little League or they play high school football or whatever, or the armed forces use it. A lot of businesses are starting to use it that are doing outdoor type work, like roofers or whatever. And it measures how much time you should spend outdoors versus breaks you should be taking, hydration, like getting in out of the sun for set periods of time. And we are following the guidelines set by the military on what we consider to be a black level heat related event. We've been monitoring this particular weather this week, and we've hit the black in just about every part of the state at one time or another in the last 3 days. So that would have caused us to close the route. I just want to quickly point out that we don't just close the route for the safety of riders. We close the route for the safety of volunteers, because they're not out there riding and getting the wind on them and riding, in shade on the trail and hydrating all day and wearing comfy clothes. They're standing in a parking lot generally for hours, sometimes just waiting for somebody to show up that they can fill their water bottle or help them. So for their safety, we need to be really mindful of these kinds of things. Yeah.
And some of these things will be course wide. Like if there's a black flag because of a heat advisor, that is usually it's not going to get better as the day goes on, and it will impact the entire course. Other things like pop-up terrible storms may only be in certain areas of the state, so it may only be at different stops. There was one time last year where it looked perfectly nice at one of the stops, but 10 miles down the road was a terrible storm. So we asked that water stop to hold people at a red flag temporarily until that storm passed. It's challenging because they're sitting there at their stop and they don't know why, right? Because it looks fine where they are. But just trust that, like, we have Darrell and the SAG team. So the SAG team also has this big radio command center where they are monitoring all kinds of stuff across the state, one of them being weather. So they know what's ahead on the route. So they know what you're about to ride into if you turn that next corner and go over that hill. So just trust that everyone has the rider and volunteer safety as our top priority, and just take your cues from the volunteers at the water stop. We will have a messaging system from the SAG team and the event leadership to the captains at the water stop that will tell them what color their flag is and what they should be doing. You will probably get that message from a volunteer who is exactly just that, a messenger. They're passing along what they were told to tell you. So please, please, please thank them for volunteering, thank them for being there, and thank them for having your safety in mind, but don't question them on any decisions because they're just passing along a message. So if you have a question about one of the decisions that's made, you can call, in the guidebook is my phone number, Darrell's phone number, Bob's phone number, Alyssa's phone number, and Leigh-Anne's phone number, plus a couple others that you're allowed to call. So some of our volunteer leadership, some of our staff leadership, those are the people, if you need to question a decision or if you're upset about something, bring it to us and try not to, I know maybe it's hot and you're frustrated and you want to go, but just trust that that person in front of you was told to hold the riders there. And please be respectful and mindful of that. We really value our volunteers. We wouldn't get to do this without our volunteers. So, just know that they're not making that up on their own dime. They're speaking on behalf of us as event leadership and decisions that were made. So,
yeah. And I'll answer probably the most common question anyone would have in that circumstance right now. We don't want anyone to not finish. We are just trying to make sure that everyone can finish. And sometimes that means holding off for a little while. But the last thing we want is to have to cut anybody's ride short. So we're doing everything we can behind the scenes to make sure everybody can finish their day.
Okay. So with that, I know we are getting, we're past our 90-minute mark. And obviously, if you need to go, that's fine. The rest of this will be recorded. We may pick up and shorten a little bit about the campus events just because all of that information is in detail in the guidebook, and I think it's less important to the preparation now. But I do want to talk, Bob, if you have any other quick tips about rider safety, and we can keep this brief because we also do have other resources both in the guidebook, and we did some good enrichment series videos before, so we will post and share links to broader safety talks that we have done in the past, because obviously it's a huge topic. But Bob, any other quick tips about rider safety, riding in groups, riding on trails and things like that?
Yeah, I'll be really brief. I think the big thing is there's stuff in the guidebook. If you're riding early, lights. If you like to know what's behind you, a mirror. I really can't say enough about Garmin Varia or another radar system, but definitely head and tail lights so that people know where you are. Call out obstacles. Make sure that there's a pothole. You tell the person behind you. And finally, we had some issues last year on the trail. We need to be courteous to people. I put a couple pictures. The top is what we don't really need you to be on the bike trail. And the bottom is more like what we'd expect you to be on the bike trail. Remember, these are kids and dogs on extendo leashes. Hauling butt in a Peloton is not going to do anybody any good. So be courteous, kind. Remember, everybody needs to share that and get home safely. And then I think there's something else you want to touch on the trail, Stacy.
Oh yeah, I was just saying too, just like communicate. Like the hand signals are great. Also use your voice. Let people know, call out hazards ahead if you see them. So yeah, just one more quick note on the trail for those of you that were with us last year. We stayed on the Little Miami Trail all the way through from Xenia to Cincinnati. And we had both the best feedback and the worst feedback on that section of trail through Loveland. I think some people absolutely loved it. They're like, I want to move to Loveland, Ohio. It's so cute. That was so fun. And other people were like, wow, that was a terrible riding experience. So Loveland, Ohio is a section of the trail that is very congested, especially on a nice, beautiful weather Sunday afternoon. Lots of pedestrians, lots of kids, lots of families out, lots of other bikes, both more serious cyclists and super casual cruisers and tricycles. So it is a slow area of the trail. So based on the feedback this year, we are going to take the route off the trail after that stop at the Monkey Bar for a bypass of Loveland. That is going to be our primary route. We expect most riders to take that. But if you are an individual rider or riding in a group of no more than 4 people, and you are riding at 12 miles an hour or slower, or can do that through that section, you can stay on the trail if you want to, but the primary route will take most of our riders and all of our strong riders off of that congested section of trail. So if you choose to stay on the trail, just even more so, just be mindful of other trail users. Remember that you represent the event. So it's not just you out there, but you're representing Pan Ohio and the American Cancer Society, and we just don't want anyone to get hurt out there. So
yeah. And that decision will be made at a water stop. So
yeah, you can get to that water stop and decide, I'm going to go on the road route, or I just want to chill and ride 10 miles an hour for the next several miles, and that's okay. All right. Any other questions? I think I'm going to actually open this to questions now. I guess people have been kind of throwing things in the chat. Anything else about route or the riding part of the day that anyone wants to know? Because I feel like that's the meat of what you really need to know. The rest of what we have to talk about is kind of the fun stuff, the campus events, the finish line party, and just some general stuff. So we'll probably fly through that pretty quickly so we can wrap up by 9 o'clock for sure. Again, if you have questions, we're willing to stay after that, but I'm not seeing anything else come through in the chat. So let's talk about the end of the day. All right, Leigh-Anne, you made it to that daily finish line at campus. What happens?
It's going to be very much like the kickoff. You're going to take your bike to bike storage. You're going to take everything off of your bike so that nobody's water bottles are leaking on the floor. Their battery items like lights and Garmin's and stuff aren't being charged. You're going to take all of that off, take it with you, leave your bike. You're going to check in and get a room key for the college. Your luggage will be waiting in the dorm lobby, arranged by number. And those folks who are going to the hotel, your luggage will be by the shuttle stop, so you can grab it and head over to the hotel and check in.
Okay, what if I'm like kind of sore and tired from the end of the day? Bob, is there anything I can do to get ready for the next day?
We will have several pair of compression boots and a volunteer to sanitize those, so you can get in there, use some percussion massagers, the recovery boots. It's kind of a line up. There's no system to hold your place, so you stand around, socialize, and get comfy.
Yeah, so yeah, we want to take care of you. Recovery drinks, like, the chocolate milks, we'll have dairy and non-dairy options, protein drinks and all that. And also my favorite recovery drink. Alyssa, what else is going on at the finish lines?
Yeah, so Thursday and Friday specifically, when you get back from your ride, we will already be started with our happy hour. So the drinks will be flowing, both adult beverages and regular beverages. We're excited to have a good amount of of like the athletic brewing type beer, the non-alcoholic beverages. So we're excited about that this year. So those will all be at the happy hour, along with some little hors d'oeuvres and snacks. Then every evening we will be eating at the campus cafeteria, which is a little bit of a change. We are not going to be doing a formal dinner for the recognition ceremony. Stacy will talk about that in just a minute. So we're going to be at the campus cafeterias every night. And then we're also having an after party. So more soft drinks and NA beer and adult beverages and snacks. So again, you won't be hungry, you won't be thirsty. We're going to have a great time. Stacy, take it away on recognition.
Super excited. I don't
celebration.
remember who it was that brought in the new sponsor of Best Day Brewing, but they're going to be donating quite a bit of non-alcoholic beer for us to have as well. So, and if that runs out, we will go to the store and buy more. So we definitely have plenty of options for everyone. But yeah, so new thing this year, as Alyssa mentioned, we'll be eating dinner in the college cafeterias every night. That includes Saturday this time. Traditionally, we have a banquet dinner on Saturday night with our recognition celebration, but it's just gotten to the point where we decided, like, if you're a faster rider and you're done riding at 3 or 4 o'clock, you don't want to wait till 6 or 6:30 to have dinner. And it's just challenging with a lot of people trying to eat at once. So this year, we're going to just let you come in and have dinner at the campus center as we normally would. And then after dinner, we're going to switch on over to a dessert and drinks reception. So, we'll have the bar open with the alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. We'll have plenty of fun and fancy desserts and cookies, and we'll just have some fun with it, and then just have a presentation, like a little more auditorium style instead of in a banquet dinner. So pretty excited about that. I think it'll be a little more casual, a little easier. No one's going to have to wait hours to get dinner. You can kind of get through dinner at your own pace when you want to, and then just come for a celebration later. So we will be having that celebration, and then after party, we'll stay right in that same space. Instead of trying to move to other places, we'll bring out some games, we'll hang out, we'll have music, and people can hang out and have a good time getting ready for Sunday. So speaking of Sunday, everything about Sunday is the same until the end. We're not showing up at a campus. Where are we going?
We're finishing right at the end of the trail at Lunken Airfield. So we're actually going to be finishing in Hangar 2, which is an event space as well as a hangar for airplanes. It's an enclosed air hangar, but we can open the door. So it really has an outside vibe. It's a really cool space. Stacy mentioned Fork Cancer is an event that was held up. Oh, Leigh-Anne. It was mentioned that we attended in May that was in the same spot, and it's just a great space. It's going to be a private event for us. There won't be people wandering through, people going to the baseball game or whatever. We'll have our own spot, our own parking lot.
Yeah, it'll be great.
The whole thing. So it'll be really nice.
Super excited. All right, so once you get there, you park, you cross the finish line, everyone's cheering, cowbells, you get your medal, you get a photo. What do I do after that, Bob?
I'm glad you asked. I was looking for a picture. You're going to do what you should do is take care of your bicycle first. Take your bike to the proper truck.
You notice the theme with Bob?
Yeah.
Bicycle first.
It's the most important thing, and it gets wrapped in its own blankie, and it gets put snugly in a truck, the proper truck. Make sure it gets in the proper truck. Trucks will be labeled. And then we try to make the new finish really convenient, so you can immediately drop off your bike, walk over, pick up your luggage, head to the shower truck, take a shower. Remember, you will need a towel for your shower at the end. So, and I like my own anyway. So I would have a shower handy on top of my luggage. Grab that, grab yourself a shower, throw a wet, like Kroger bag, or recycle some other kind of plasticky bag for your wet towel. Now you're cleaned, dressed, your bike is happily loaded and ready to go home. You can have a little party in the hangar. And then from there, you'll fuel yourself even more because you haven't eaten enough, right?
What's at the party, Alyssa, and can people join us there?
Yes, absolutely. We would love to have other people join us. So we do sort of ask if you know offhand of someone that's going to be joining you, let us know kind of for food counts. However, as Leigh-Anne mentioned earlier, please, if someone comes and you're like, oh, I didn't tell anybody, it's fine. There's plenty of food. We want them to come. Don't think that because you didn't tell us they can't come. Just if you know you have 4 people coming, give us a little bit of a heads up so we know for numbers. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of food. You'll get your medal. There will be fun photo opportunities, drinks and food and all the stuff. And then there will also be sorry?
I said, did we mention food?
And with lots of food. And more opportunities for and opportunities to buy merchandise. So, and that's something I think we may throw out a little bit later, some information about. But okay,
Yeah.
so
Actually, Leigh-Anne, we could throw it to Leigh-Anne for merch talk if you want.
Go for it. Take it away with merch.
So we, as many of you know, we opened a new store this year, a Panohio merch store. So we're going to have some select items from that available for sale during the event, as well as the typical stuff that we have still on hand, things like cycling shorts, some wrist warmers, leg warmers, which gosh knows we need something to keep us warm in this weather. Things like that. We will have those available at the kickoff. We will have them, we're hoping to have them at some of the nights at the colleges, and we will have them at the finish line. Those are, we have a square reader, so you don't have to worry if you don't have cash, stuff like that. We can work with you on that.
And the other new thing, you mentioned this sort of, but I just want to make it clear, like we have a new store this year. We did a store redemption window in April and then closed it, but we're going to have this store open again, and we're going to have it open during the event. So we will have a kiosk with a display of everything that's in the store, and then you can order it and it'll be shipped right to you after the event. So in addition to the stuff we have on hand, there's an array of merchandise that, it's hard for us to get things in all the right sizes and to carry enough of all the things for everyone. So to kind of pare down on the merch that we're traveling across the state with, you can pick out what you want, order it, and it'll get shipped to you. And you'll be issued gift cards. So depending on your fundraising, different incentives and things, like you'll be getting emails with gift cards that you can spend at that store. We're going to close it on Sunday night so things can get shipped out. And then after the event season ends in August and people have done maybe more fundraising and we have more gift cards to issue, we'll do another shopping period in September, maybe with some new fall merchandise. So lots of opportunities to get Panohio swag stuff as well. Okay, so that's finish line. And then after that, like Bob mentioned, like the trucks are labeled, put your bike on the right truck. The buses are labeled, put your luggage on the right bus, put yourself on the right bus, and get on the bus. Since it's a pretty far drive, if you're getting on the Cleveland bus, you will get a box lunch because, we don't want you to go 5 hours on a bus without a meal because we like to feed you. And by now, by the end of day 4, your metabolism is revved up. So you will have a full box lunch if you're going to Cleveland, and some snacks on the Columbus bus, so that and the other buses, just so everyone can get some food. No one goes hungry on our watch, so you can get on the bus, relax, relive your memories, probably fall asleep, quite honestly, and just enjoy your ride back to your home city. So with that, any other questions about the flow of the event? I guess the only other thing I really wanted to talk about today, I want to flip back over to the slides for the emergency numbers, but just a quick note on fundraising as a couple of reminders. We are a little bit behind year over year, but we're not terribly behind, but we have a couple things coming up, and one of them is our 328 bib contest. So anybody that's new is like, why do they keep talking about 328? This route is like 345 miles now. We know it's not really 328, but it used to be. The classic original historic Pan-Ohio route, when there used to be 2 Hope Lodges in Ohio, was from the Cleveland Hope Lodge to the Cincinnati Hope Lodge, was 328 miles. They have since closed the Cincinnati Lodge. It was underutilized and not a great use of funds. And now we start like 10 miles farther east. So we've added a good bit of distance to it. So it's more than that now, but 328 is sort of our classic historical number. So wearing the 328 bib is kind of a big honor. So anyone who is at the average raised per participant by June 30th will get entered in a drawing to wear the coveted 328 bib. So as of midnight last night, that average raise per rider is $1,501. I can tell you that last year, the entry cutoff to get into that bib drawing was $2,045. So take a look at your fundraising. Leigh-Anne's been posting the current average on the website every few days, so you can kind of just see where you are. Obviously, your first goal is to hit that 1328 to earn your jersey. And that's all you need to do, right? Especially if you're new. If that's all you do, that's great. We love that. It's fine. But if you want to take that next challenge to yourself, see where you are compared to the average and shoot for that. If you want an even bigger challenge, try to get yourself to Dynamo and earn that other jersey. We will be asking everyone as of July 1st to recommit. We're not going to turn you away if you show up at the start line and haven't hit your minimum, because you have until August 31st to do that. But we would like you to make a commitment to us that you'll make your best effort to do that. We don't take your credit card numbers. We're not going to charge you if you don't make it. We're just asking for your commitment to give it your best effort to raise that minimum by the end of the season. Any other things? Leigh-Anne's dropping a lot of helpful links in the chat right now for you. Does anyone else have any other questions? I am going to pop back over here really quickly. Share my screen again. If you did not already do so from the guidebook, these are your numbers that we have talked about, the general information and question number, or the emergency or SAG request call number. We recommend you put those in your phone now. Save them in your phone now. Again, don't call the SAG asking them what time breakfast is, right? That is a general information question. So call the red number, the 216-545-7373, if you need emergency help along the route during the day. So you got a flat tire and you need someone to get you, you're having heat exhaustion and you need some extra fluids or something like that. So SAG number is for help during the ride. General information and questions is for other stuff, sort of in the afternoons and evenings, and where's the happy hour and what time's breakfast and stuff like that. We can help you with that. So save those numbers. Leigh-Anne dropped these things in the chat too, but yeah, the Slick text, here's the message. If you get unsubscribed somehow, how you can resubscribe. Again, those are in the guidebook. Oops, I just flipped faster than I meant to, sorry. It's in the guidebook, but also wanted to give everyone the visual on what the course marking looks like. So most of the markings are going to be this red sign that says course with a white arrow on it and an American Cancer Society logo. That is our primary route marking. In some cases where Darrell mentioned, if there's not great places to put those on posts or whatever, those will be supplemented with orange route arrow stickers that look like this below it. And in real worst case scenario, like there's a last minute change or signs disappeared or something, someone might run out there with a can of orange spray paint. They will paint an orange arrow with the letters PO. Please do not just follow any spray painted arrows you see. This is the rare occasion when we have had riders get lost, because sometimes construction crews paint arrows on routes. So don't follow an arrow unless it is orange and also has the letters PO with it. Alan, go ahead.
What time does the party end at Lunken Airfield?
That is a great question. Leigh-Anne, you want to field that? Do you have the? I think we're trying to aim for our buses to leave between 4 and 4:30, right? Can you check that?
That is correct. So typically you're gonna probably finish partying in the hangar at 3:30, and you're gonna make your way out to your bus. The party will continue on the bus for a lot of people, and that is fun. We will put some cases of water. We don't pat anyone down or search anyone if they happen to carry something other than water onto the bus. You know, there are a lot of people. Just make sure that if you are with people who want to sleep on the ride back, you kind of give them their space, and the party people stay in one part and the sleepy people stay in the other. But yeah, the party will continue all the way back to your hometown.
Yeah, great question.
Well, not your hometown, Alan, but
Yeah, it's not going all the way.
Well, it might. I don't know what they have planned on the way back home. But
Good
yeah.
points. This next slide is just a summary of the biggest changes from last year. Again, that first thing on Wednesday is that the bus departure times are an hour earlier. Dinner and presentation moved about an hour so that we have time for that Cleveland Hope Lodge tour. The next big change is at Wright State. Oh yeah, we didn't mention this at Wright State too. If you were there last year, you'll know that one of the dorms is like right next door and the other dorm is way across campus, and they unfortunately do not have any other close by dorms. So we have arranged for them, for the people that are at the far away dorm, to have their own bike storage. So if instead of waiting for the shuttle, you want to ride your bike over there, that's fine. Your luggage will be waiting for you at the door, or at the dorm. So second, bike storage. We mentioned that we'll just have dinner at the Union Market, which is their student center dining commons. And then we will just have drinks and desserts later before a recognition celebration. And then, of course, our big finish difference for Lunken Airfield Hangar 2 for our finish line. Any other questions? I feel like you guys did a great job of throwing questions out along the way, but anything else that you feel like you need to know here that we forgot about? Yes, we covered it. Again, everything's in the guidebook. And if you think of questions when you wake up at 4 a.m, you're like, oh, I should have asked this question. Don't despair. Just shoot over an email to panohio.info@cancer.org. Or I think the rest of our emails and contact info is in that guidebook as well. So,
and
we'll
stay on for a few minutes after we stop the recording if you want to ask anything or just talk without it being recorded for posterity.
And I think that's a great comment that John just put in the chat. Like, I know this can seem overwhelming, and it is a big thing, right? Even if you're joining us for one day of the ride, even if you're a Pan Ohio Express rider for one day, even a 40 to 50 mile ride is more than most people I know will ever do. So you're doing a big thing, and it can definitely feel overwhelming to have this traveling across the state, riding more miles than you've ever ridden in your life. It's a lot. But hopefully you see that there is a whole team of people, and it's not just us either, right? The 5 of us are here, but there will be additional ACS staff members and a whole army of volunteers there looking out for you along the way.
I'll say that, like, most of you, your experience will be you get yourself to wherever you drop your car off, or you get yourself to John Carroll, and then all you got to do is eat and ride your bike and try to sleep. And everything else, all the stuff that we're telling you about is just to try to, account for anything that might go wrong. But most of you're going to have a great time, and it's not going to be overwhelming.
Eat, sleep.
We try to just make everything.
You
don't got to worry about where my luggage is or anything. We take care of all that. We keep you moving along. We keep you fed. So don't be overwhelmed.
Alyssa had a hand up.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody to, like, you may be coming into this and not knowing anybody. You may be coming into this and only know 1 or 2 people, but maybe your 1 or 2 people are a little faster than you and you can't keep up. I promise you, as overwhelming as this seems, you are going to meet the most incredible people. This is truly a little Pan Ohio family, as we call it. And it might sound cheesy, but you will feel it, and you will see. There's so many examples of people that have met on this ride and become lifelong friends, hang out regularly, maybe get married. We had a Pan Ohio wedding 2 weeks ago or last weekend. or you're engaged. Yeah, they got married
They
this
met
past
on
weekend.
Ohio 2 years ago. They got engaged before last year's Pride, and now they're
And
married.
they just got married last weekend. And so lots of cool things. So you're not alone. It will be incredible. You're going to love it. And please don't hesitate to pull one of us aside if you need something, or whatever. We're here for you, and we want you guys to really know that you're supported. So
I just want to share one last thing, and I won't. I mean, if anyone wants to stay on, we can play it. But if you haven't seen the promo video that was created from last year's events, where is it? Here it is. All right, I'm going to share a link in the chat. If I can figure out how to grab copy the link. If you didn't get a chance to see this, I'll stick around and play it. If you need to go, that's fine, but grab that link before you do, because I feel like we can talk about Pan Ohio all night, but it is really hard to explain what the Pan Ohio Hope Ride is. We need to show you. And I think someone in the video even says it, like, you can't tell people what Pan Ohio is, you need to show them. And we had videographers with us last year that I think just did an amazing job of capturing and showing what this ride is about. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Thanks for being with us tonight. Thanks for all your great questions and engagement with this. And we can't wait to see you in 30 days.